I'm still continuing this video challenge. I'm doing that Dave Sedia started. Um, but I saw something the other day, and it's been referenced a couple times. I was just watching. I have it pulled up here actually. I was just watching the uh, mostly technical podcast from this week, and at this point in the episode, Ian is talking with Aaron about how much he appreciated the Prime's recent video around where Prime was kind of reacting to by Prime the Primeagen. I have people who are not developers who will probably watch this because whatever. But the video the Primeagen was reacting to was this developer who's had 3 years of experience and has gone for a year without getting a job, spending, I think in the video he said somewhere around 6 to 7 months actively applying for jobs, and the other time he's taken off. And so I wanted to do my part to try to address the issue. And I know in a meta sort of way that there's going to be many things said in this video that would cause, if I was a better editor, which is why I'm doing this video challenge, I'm not to the editing part yet for myself, I would have multiple memes or just pop-up GIFs or something just raging because I know so many people are going to hate particular words and things mentioned. But I'll start with the high-level thought of, as a developer right now in a job market that is constantly referred to as being just bad, your aim is to get seen. And for me, I've been trying to do stuff on the side to build up other side business type stuff. And somebody told me something recently that, like, if your aim is to be seen, but you're not doing the things that would cause you to be seen, then what is your expectation? Like, you have to deal with that expectation. And it all comes down to personal expectations and the effort you're willing to put in. And frankly, perceptions that you think other people have of you if you do things that feel uncomfortable. So the things I mentioned earlier that would cause raging are posting on LinkedIn. You don't have to do it that often. You don't have to do it. You don't have to do it but once a week. But your aim is to get noticed. To use a phrase that I'm sure people are cringe towards, you need to increase your luck surface area. So I have my little camera up here and a blank Google screen. So I intended to pull up some articles and things, and I'll probably pull them up randomly, but LinkedIn, yeah, you see stuff like this. I know this guy Colin, but you see stuff like this and you cringe. That's fine. The point of using LinkedIn, particularly where you're at in the hard, vulnerable position of looking for a job, is to engage with others who have jobs, to engage with companies, to show what you're learning, to increase the awareness of yourself to the world. If you keep doing the same things that every other developer is doing, trying to get jobs by simply applying to jobs and putting in resumes, even networking. I know some people talk about networking like they're trying to network. Most of the time I feel like people say that and they probably mean they sent a few DMs. They may have gone to a local code meetup or something, but really underneath all of that, they simply mean that they have asked people for jobs. Networking you'll see all these thread bros or whatever on Twitter saying networking is dead. The thing that they're referring to a lot of times and saying is dead is the idea that you can just kind of show up somewhere and ask for a job. And it's unfortunate that that was ever, I guess, what people assumed networking was. This is also the same idea that people have with, I saw Dax on Twitter talking about open source and like contributing, and the people are likely who contribute and show up and put in effort are probably the ones who are going to be more likely to get a job. The reason I bring that up is what they're doing is they're putting in a lot of effort and goodwill. I'll see if I can find that tweet. Let's search for Dax. They're putting in effort, goodwill. They're making themselves known. They're showing up and contributing. That's the primary reason that's how you network. Networking is not showing up and asking for something. If you show up and ask for something before people know who you are, you're not going to get anywhere. Networking is showing up, giving. That's why you say things like post on LinkedIn, post on Twitter, make YouTube videos, give, so people have an awareness of you and that you're learning and giving. Let's see. Could probably just Google. Let's see, Dax open source jobs tweet. There we go. So yeah, when I say we only hire people who do open source, a bunch of people were like, no one serious does open source. It's just college kids. These people were largely in do nothing big tech jobs that benefit from OSS work. Level of entitlement reached stupid levels. He had another one. It might not be as surfaced. Had some. Oh, this is a better one than the one I was thinking of. Had some work we needed done. Went straight to someone whose open source work we rely on and hired them. They did an amazing job. It's easy. So the idea is like, if you make yourself reliable by making yourself known. If you're not known and you continue and show up and ask for things, then you won't get hired. And I'll share a little bit of my experience in this area as well, so you know I'm not just making things up. So I currently work at Ingest, and the way I got that job was this job is the only job that I've actually applied for, but I know that just a lot of, like, through conversations, this job was mostly because of connections I had through doing work with Egghead, because Joel used to work there. And I asked for a referral and got a referral. And I had other people give me references who knew me and knew the work that I do and how I help people. But before I became a software developer, I used to work in nonprofit ministry and like campus ministry, and then at a church. And the changing careers, I went through a boot camp. You see, I even have that here because, you know, at the time they're like, this is your experience, put it on your resume or LinkedIn. So I went through a boot camp, had some part-time work, and then got my first full-time job. Now, this part-time job was not the best. Frankly, I had no idea what I was doing at this point, even out of boot camp, because boot camp is like cramming for an exam on steroids, and once you're done with it, like, you do keep it up. I was coding and having fun, but this just wasn't it was not what I went through boot camp and understood. So I had a really hard time even with this part-time job. But really what people say is you need your when you come out of boot camp is you need your chance, or you need your first full-time job. And then you can kind of go from there. That's, as we'll get to in some later, that's still somewhat true. At this time, it was much more relevant. And this was during COVID. So I did my boot camp in early COVID, and then I got my job 1 year, really a little less than 1 year after COVID started. And this is also, people were also saying, like, jobs are dead, and nobody's gonna work, we're all gonna die. It was just it was kind of chaos. But the point I wanted to bring up is how I got this first full-time job, just to think about getting noticed. And that idea is I was writing on LinkedIn. There was a coding boot camp who has a YouTube channel called Coder Foundry, and I discovered them before I started my boot camp. So I started posting on LinkedIn. I didn't really have Twitter until after I had a job. So I wasn't posting on Twitter. I really knew nothing of Twitter. So that boot camp, someone named Danny Thompson, who you probably know, LinkedIn, Danny Thompson. So Danny Thompson has a YouTube series on how to get a job with LinkedIn. That's worth watching. I can pull that up. Let's see, YouTube, Danny Thompson, how to get a job with LinkedIn. How to use LinkedIn as a developer. Yeah, we're not going to watch it, but this is Taylor Desson. And so Taylor is also helps people. They both have communities. Danny Thompson has a community called Danny Thompson Coding Community. Let's see. And it doesn't matter one bit what you think about LinkedIn. The person, a lot of people go off vibes and cringe, but or just vibes, and vibes, just like vibe coding is going to probably lead you to disaster. Vibes, in terms of making career decisions, especially when you're looking for a job, is also probably leading you to disaster with not having lots of job prospects. And so commit your code. I think that's it. Commit your code. Discord. Did I spell that incorrectly? Discord. Let's see. Wow. I have to go through many steps. Yes. Okay. Commit your code Discord. So you can find it through how I just got there. Go to Danny Thompson or Google Danny Thompson, commit your code Discord. They help people land jobs. That's the point. Really, a lot of these are people looking for their entry-level jobs. Taylor Desson, who I pulled up a second ago, has one, I think, Torque Discord community. Oh, I'm in it, I think. Torque.dev. They help, as it says, unlock your career potential for your next role. Regardless, they have a Discord. You can Google it and figure it out. The point in bringing this up is they help you get noticed, and they often walk through all the things that I've already mentioned or might mention. I don't know where this is going overall, but this full-time job, I got this full-time job in probably one of the stupidest ways, and I would not recommend it because it was just a nightmare for me, but I'm going to use it as an example to show doing something to get you noticed. When I was in this part-time job, I really did not like it, and I was looking for a new opportunity. but I knew I needed experience, so I started doing freelancing. And I had a good friend who, growing up, I knew him from my hometown, and he ran this daycare type of business, and they were wanting their own platform for student management, families, like sending out emails, all this kind of stuff. I had got a contract for that for $36,000 for myself. Now that sounds good, but as a developer, as I just mentioned, and I was really struggling with this software part-time job, having coming out of boot camp, it became clear to me pretty quick that if I built something for my friend within the 6-month window that I gave him, it was not going to be where I wanted it to be. It was not going to be as good as it should be. So after I got that job, what I had was a $36,000 contract. I got paid for 1 month and did 1 month of work and had some things to show. But I knew I needed a team. I knew I needed people to help with this because it was just too big for me. And so I knew somebody through this coding boot camp. He wasn't actually there and didn't help us, or he wasn't working for this coding boot camp, but he did end up helping some of us, trying to help us find jobs. But he ended up getting this CEO role at this startup. This is basically a dev shop. And so what I did eventually, in kind of a move of desperation for help on the project, was went to him and I confirmed with my friend that it was okay. I went to him and I said, hey, I've been paid 1 month of $6,000, but I still have $30,000 of a contract left. I'll give you the $30,000 contract if you hire me, hire me and give me a full-time job, and you basically are paying for me by me bringing you this contract. I just need a team to help work on this. And that ended up in my favor. So that's the story of how that all played out is not worth getting into. But like how it played out a few months down the road, because you can see I was here for 4 months, and then went to this is a government contracting company, and this company no longer exists. But the point was I really needed a job. I really needed people to help, but I really needed a job because I knew that job was kind of the gateway to a career. And just like now looking for jobs, you have to do things that get you noticed. And I was writing on LinkedIn. I had a blog. I had a crazy site for my personal site with some crazy animations that I just from Green Sock they had on their forums that I just put on my website. That ended up leading to this job. I had an interview, but I really had a referral to this company through a friend. The friend gave me a referral to TIAG, this company here, back in November of 2020, but they weren't hiring. And then in June of 2021, I saw that they were hiring, and had already been connected with the recruiter through my in-company referral. And I messaged her and I said, hey, I'm looking for a job, and I see y'all are hiring, and we've talked before. You told me to reach out. And she said, oh, thank you. I don't have to go through the 200 to 300 applicants now. When can you come in for your in-person, let's meet? And that's all it was really a meet and greet. And I showed them my portfolio and answered a few questions, but I've never had a formal interview outside of Ingest. Compare credit. This company was the same. In terms of a referral, I knew somebody who ran a kind of like a sister company, and so they gave me a referral, and they were in need of a developer, and I was hired there. Same for this company, Gnosis Freight. I was the same guy who was at the sister company had a connection that knows his freight and gave me a connection, or made a connection and referral, and that led to this job. And then Egghead, I've been teaching for a few years. I kind of, they said they had kind of an open process for people wanting to learn, and so I reached out, went through their process, and became an instructor. And Joel was the at one point Joel was the DevRel at Ingest, and I saw that they had a content engineering position come open, and I'd been looking to move into developer education, like content type of stuff for a while, and I applied, and honestly, a little later than I should have, I reached out to Joel, and he gave me a referral. So those, I've never gotten a job purely through an application. The only thing that I think an application is good for, personally, is as you are going through this process, somehow applying to jobs is like a dopamine type of effect. And so as you network and you make connections, there's nothing tangible or visible for you to see that you're accomplishing. And so I it might sound quirky, but I would use LinkedIn's easy apply, and just at night when I go to bed, just like easy apply to like 10 to 15 places. It didn't matter to me that I didn't get those jobs. Yeah, occasionally, like anybody, I would have like little ups and downs of discouragement, but the applying was kind of like, oh, I just need to do this to feel like I'm doing something, because conversations often feel unproductive. But relationships is kind of where the wins are, and making yourself known, building more relationships is how you're going to get increase your visibility, get seen, and end up getting a job. Now, in our world, I think there's all this fear around AI and all this kind of stuff. It always pops up. I mean, not to just be somebody who says I don't buy it. I don't, but maybe not for the typical reasons people say. I just think as humans, we like to really rely on other humans, even though that's where pain often is. I think we have something deeply nuanced about us that wants to connect with a person, and yeah, companies are able to like build tools, like individuals are able to build tools quicker with AI, like do little things. But that's why, again, like it just kind of comes back to being seen, because if they think they're hiring you to just build something that they think they can build, then it's not going to happen. But if you've increased your visibility and they have personally felt some very significant like connection with you based off of what you say, how you say it, your content, like the fact that you're teaching, or that you can write, or that you know how to just talk to other developers, or if it's depending on the company or whatever it is, the more really it's the more that they feel like they know you, the more people generally want to help you. The people who are only concerned with like what AI can do are probably not people you're applying to their companies anyway. It's people at big corporations, big tech companies who are saying things on Twitter that are just like almost immediately disproved the next day with like a follow-up tweet from their company. An example was Claude, somebody at Anthropic saying no more code's going to be written in like a short period of time, like next year sometime, and then they hired the Bun team. You know, like it's just like things don't make sense. It's so that's why like connecting with people is important. And then the last thing that I've thought about a decent amount that I had in my background before becoming a developer was the way that I made my living when working in nonprofit and ministry was through fundraising, like support raising. Like I told people what I was doing and asked them to give money monthly to what I was doing. And that was obvious. There's things it's not my favorite, but that's not really the point. But the biggest thing that I learned from that was like after you've put in two things that I've learned from that. After you've put in the work of connecting with somebody on like good faith terms, not just purely asking for things, like they know who you are or somebody who knows you is connected to them too. The worst thing you could do is not ask for a job. Well, I was asking for money, but in this case, for a job. Because you already don't have, in this case, I already did not have the money that I was needing. And so if for whatever reason, you can get tripped out in your head for not writing on LinkedIn, not writing on Twitter, not making YouTube videos, not contributing to open source, not doing things that feel cringe to you or whatever. Regardless of all those reasons, those are the ways that you build the credibility to ask people for references for jobs. And if you're not doing those things, then you will always be stuck. And fundraising kind of taught me that, like support raising taught me that, like so many of my first supporters were because they knew my dad from my hometown. Like I called them and I had meetings with them and I didn't know them that well, but I had the credibility of a great father who loves people so much that they were willing to give to his son to do the work that I was doing at that time. And that to me is, I mean, obviously in that sense, it's an incredible blessing from my dad, even though he didn't knowingly directly give it, but he did. So that's the idea with building up a presence online, being in communities, going to meetups, again, writing on LinkedIn, networking, even though, like all of it, to some extent, it does feel cringe, but like, where do you want to be? Yeah, I actually really like talking with people about this. So, I've met with a few people who are looking and have concerns about the future or looking for a job, or at the end of the day, what I tell most people is, if you're concerned about it, I think the primary thing you should be focused on is something I heard people refer to at one point in my life called relational capital. There's career capital for people who've been around for like 10 to 15 years. They've done really quality work, or those who are just like, they grind and they do great work in the first like 2 to 5 years and everybody knows them. But for a lot of people, it comes down to relational capital. Who do you know? How, and not what can you get from them, but who do you know and who values you and wants to help you? Because some people, I mean, you don't know that well, so why would they help you? They don't know you that well, so why would they help you? They might want to help you, but they're probably not. But the people who you're connected with, you've given to, and really want to help you, generally try. And the context of this idea of relational capital was mostly at the time referring to a lot of homeless So many people we dealt with they had no relationships. They had nobody they could ask for help. I mean, obviously that's why they would come to us and ask for help, and we would find housing or whatever. And that's generally what a recruiter is trying to do for people who are looking for jobs. So join Taylor's community, Torque.dev Discord, that whole community. You might feel like it's cringe, but they're genuinely and generally trying to help people get jobs, land jobs. Do something crazy. Take a contract and try to take it to a company like I did. I mean, just do some level of extraordinary, remarkable things, and be seen. Let yourself be seen. And the last thing I guess I can say is, don't believe the lie. I think that many of us tend to believe that if you're applying to jobs and you're not making it through that very singular process, don't believe the lie that somewhere around this thought of like you have no value, or your effort and work up to now has been pointless. I think what's needed mostly is just a different way of thinking about how to approach finding a job. So this was a much longer video than I tend to and want to make. So if you want to reach out, feel free to message me on LinkedIn, or if you just can't do it on LinkedIn, you can message me on Twitter. My it's been a Patton on Twitter. I do enjoy trying to help and talk through and seeing if there's other ways to help you think about what you're doing, so to find a job. So hopefully some of that was helpful. Don't let the cringe thing be like some sort of moral compass necessarily. In many areas of life, that's okay. But when it comes to jobs, I think it just seems a little silly, especially as it comes to like you trying to increase visibility of yourself. So yeah,